Welcome to the Collector's Archive. I am the Vault Keeper. Identify.
Hi, I'm Rudy Sassoon, presenter of the Science Fantasy Experience.
Identity confirmed. Access granted. Switching to human interface.
Oh, balls to it! I'll just go with it. Just go with it. I'll let it flow however it flows. Good evening, Rudy. How are you doing, sir?
I'm very good. Excited to be on, yeah.
No, appreciate you joining me here in the Collector's Archive. So I think we'll start by just saying if you want to maybe give people a brief introduction of yourself, a little bit about you and where you're from, things like that.
So my name is Rudy. I have a YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is my name to find me, but I present something called the Science Fantasy Experience and Figure Force. I cover all types of toys, being a very eclectic toy collector. I like all things nostalgic, cartoons, toys, board games, popular culture. I'm a Gen Xer, so I was born in '78. So I love all those types of things. I grew up in the West Midlands. I grew up in Wolverhampton, but I now live down south. I live in Southsea. I live down in Portsmouth, surrounded by some awesome toy shops. And that's about it, really. I started YouTube 2018 after years of kind of, should I do it? Shouldn't I? And then I built up the confidence. I built up a big enough toy collection because I'd wanted to do it for years and years. I started watching Graham, the Collector 75, and people like Retro Blasting and Toy Galaxy early on. And I was just like, I can do this. And then I looked at my collection and just like, I can probably do about 5 videos. I need to make my collection bigger, and I need to get comfortable in front of the camera. And then, 2018, I started it all.
Yeah. No, that's great. Excellent. So, growing up at the time that we did then, during the 80s and things like that, lots of stuff going off, cartoon-wise, toy-wise, etc., movies. What were the kind of things that you were watching then as a kid, cartoon-wise, TV shows, movies? Was there particular things that you gravitated towards?
Cartoon-wise, I watched everything.
Right.
And I still do it to this day. I will watch as many cartoons as I physically can.
Right.
Whether that's old ones or new ones.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the thing that I loved most as a kid. I lived for like the weekend. Ever since I was like young, I'd get in from school and I'd try and do my homework as quickly as possible. Even into like the early 90s, I'd try and have my homework done by like 4:25 on a Friday, because I'd watch CBBC at 4:25 on a Friday. Prince Valiant came on, and then I would switch over to ITV to watch Nightmare.
Right. Yeah. I remember Nightmare.
That'd be my like Friday night, and then I'd be like ready for Saturday morning, which would be a whole ton of cartoons.
Yeah.
And like stuff like Going Live and Live and Kicking and Number 73 and Motormouth, and then Sunday Morning, which was awesome on Channel 4. Their like cartoon programming schedule was incredible, and it was from like the time that it started.
Yeah,
you could watch like Jason the Wheeled Warriors, and then like early 90s you could watch The Adventures of Tintin. But you could still watch Jason the Wheeled Warriors because they were still showing it on repeats.
Right.
Like the Channel 4, I was thinking about this the other day, the Channel 4 children's programming on a Sunday morning was just incredible. There were so many good cartoons that they would show.
Yeah.
But the prime years were, I'm going to say like 82 to 88. That's like the golden era of cartoons for me. I would wake up so early in the morning. I had terrible insomnia as a child, and I'd wake up and I'd go downstairs. My dad started work quite early, so he would put me down on the sofa. He'd put on BBC One because CFAX would run through the night with kind of with relaxing music.
Yeah.
And then at 5:30, Battle of the Planets would come on, and then it'd be breakfast TV.
Yeah.
I never remember it as Battle of the Planets. I only realised it was called that in the 90s when it was shown on, I think it was Bravo.
Right.
But I knew it as G-Force. So that was the first cartoon I really very mumuch remember watching solely. And then, all the good ones in the mid-80s, like He-Man, Transformers, GoBots, Mysterious Cities of Gold, Belle and Sebastian, Jason the Wheel Warriors, Centurions, Visionaries. All those ones are my like Action Force or G.I. Joe, depending on what you want to call it.
Yeah.
All those ones, they're my core ones, my favorites. And then you get into the realms of Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles. Although that teetered off after about the second series, I realized it was getting really slapstick, and I was moving on. And then you get into the realms of the Toxic Crusaders.
Okay.
And then, as I said, I was still watching them, and then I moved on to like Batman, the animated series, and Gargoyle, and X-Men, and Spider-Man, and the animated series. But as many as I could watch, I could.
Yeah.
Any that I could rent from the local video shop, because they were 50p for a kids video, or it was £1 for a longer animated movie.
Yeah.
So any stuff like that I'd be watching.
Right.
And I would definitely, every Saturday or Sunday, I would hope that Starfleet X Bomber was on. That's it's my absolute jam.
Yeah.
I love Jerry Anderson, and I love Thunderbirds and Captain Scarlet, but they are tame compared to Go Nagai's Starfleet or X Bomber, and it was obviously imported into the UK. Incredible show.
I have to 100% fully agree with you on that one. I loved Starfleet as a kid. Starfleet was a great one. Battle of the Planets, that was my favorite cartoon, young childhood, watching in the morning. There was another one as well, I don't know if you remember, called Space Sentinels.
Not familiar with Space Sentinels.
You're not familiar with that one? That was a Hanna-Barbera one.
Okay.
And it was, the characters were named after, if I remember right, like Greek gods, I think, or something like that. They were like Zeus or Thor or something. There were aliens on a spaceship that was parked up in the base of a volcano, and they used to go off and do adventures or save things and this. And they had a small robot that was stayed behind in the ship, to look after things. I think it was a contemporary of Battle of the Planets. It was round about that same time. But I remember that one. I did watch that one a lot. And, other things, the usual Scooby-Doos and Transformers, Jason the Wheel Warriors, Dungeons and Dragons, all the usual stuff. But
all the big hitters.
Yeah. I mean, it just made me laugh when you mentioned like programs like Number 73.
Yeah.
Sandy Toxvig on that, the early days. And I think, was it after that? What was Gilbert on?
So Gilbert was on.
Was that Motormouth? Was it? No, it was Get Fresh. Get Fresh.
Oh, Get Fresh. Yeah, Get Fresh.
With Gaz Top.
Gaz Top, and I feel like Jenny Powell. Was on there.
Yeah, I remember that.
There was one called Ghost Train, and it had like Nobby the sheep. It's like the premise was to have a puppet on all these shows.
Yeah.
The premise is to have a puppet and then have like a cartoon broken into two parts. One, it'd be on at like 10:15, and then it'd be on again at like 11:20 to keep you engaged on that.
Yeah, keep you watching. Yeah. No, I remember them less. I mean, the ones that I remember more are kind of like the Swap Shop, Multicolor Swap Shop, and Saturday Superstore. And then on the way out of it, then when cartoons started moving away from them, the only one I did watch, because by the time it came along, I was out working and doing that kind of stuff, was Batman the animated series. That one I did watch, because that was just, well, me personally, I still think that's the best representation of Batman that's been put on film or television.
Absolutely, it's my favorite Batman. I've got a soft spot for Adam West because
Yeah.
just remember watching a lot as a kid.
Yeah.
On Sunday mornings, or even like 6 o'clock on a weekday.
Mm.
And the Batman movie, the '89 Batman movie.
Yeah.
They're great for sure. But 91, 92, when I think 92 when Batman the Animated Series came out, it's incredible. It's the reverse of animation in some ways. It's like the first series is all done on black, painted. So you just get that real rich definition.
Yeah.
It looks noir, but it's almost set in the future. It's
it's that kind of thing where I personally don't think it dates. It doesn't date because it's got its own style and look, and they don't particularly date it with including particular parts of technology in it either.
Yeah. So they've got they've got computers, but then they've also got a police Zeppelin.
Yeah.
In the opening credits, Zeppelin stopped being used in whenever it was the 50s because they explode. But then Batman's got all that tech.
Yeah.
All the cars look really like the 1930s, but they're
there's some Art Deco in it as well.
Definitely the art.
There's just a lot of styles in it that make it great. And then you had like Mask of the Phantasm, which that was great. I loved that.
It's dark. It's as for a kids show, it's really, really dark.
Yeah.
I think if you look at say Clayface, he's a dark character.
Yeah. Roland Daggett. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. I've got the box set, the DVD box set, and I'll put an episode. My favorite episode is Return of the Grey Ghost.
Oh my god! Literally, that's my favorite episode.
Yeah, I love that episode.
DC Collectibles run last 2-3 years ago.
Right.
That was the one I wanted so much. It's the perfect episode.
Yeah.
It's the villain is a toy collector. It's it just resonates on so many levels. The fact that they got Adam West.
Yes.
It's meta. It's everything about Batman that I love in one episode.
Yeah.
A lot of my collecting mantra is collecting. I like to get a visual representation of cartoons and like comics and films with one-shot characters.
Yeah.
And the Grey Ghost is the perfect one-shot character from Batman.
Also,
the Clock King.
It's like what? Sorry.
The Clock King.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
I love him as well, and he only got 2 episodes.
Right. Yeah, it was the end of the Grey Ghost episode that I liked, where he goes and said, "I used to watch it with my father," and like his inspiration. It's that kind of like nod and wink as though say, "Oh, I know who you are." But it's a great.
So
episode.
many levels. So many levels.
Yeah. So anyway, bringing it back, we drifted off a bit there, but it's good. I don't mind. It's great. So you sat there, you're watching your cartoons, or you're watching your films, or whatever. What you playing with while you're laid there on the rug in front of the TV? What toys, what games?
So it's probably what's informed my toy collecting now. Is just I had a handful of very different things. I know my next door neighbor. He bought the same toy every time. So he would go to the various toy stores and department stores, and he'd buy the real Ghostbusters.
Right.
And then he'd go and buy Slimer, and then whatever next month, or when he'd saved up his pocket money, he would go and get Ecto 1. But I would go and I would choose whatever. I'd choose a box of Lego because it was £5. I'd go and choose a GoBot because they were £4. I would buy an action figure, or I'd go and get a mask vehicle. I had an eclectic collection of 1 or 2 things from each kind of cartoon that I loved.
Yeah. Right. So that's right. That's good. So could you, out of all those, as a child, could you pick a favorite out of all that?
For sure.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really have that much. Like, it didn't have a cartoon.
No.
The comic came with it, but it is one of the greatest 80s toys of all time. And what I'll say before I tell you what it is, my parents were so worried about it because they bought it from Mothercare. They thought I was either going to think it was too childish or too plasticky.
Yeah.
And because nobody really knew anything about it. And it was just there, and it was a very competitive price, and it is Manta Force, the big white spaceship from
Yeah.
Bluebird Toys.
Yeah.
Bluebird Toys is one of the best toy companies in the 80s.
Yeah.
But Manta Force in I'm gonna say 87. Yeah, on Christmas Day, opening that, it's a giant box. The box is like huge. The box, it's like 2 foot wide.
Yeah.
And it's got a giant spaceship, 30 odd tiny little figures, about 15 different ships, 3 different kind of land. So you got 3 vehicles in 3 different kind of, not factions, but like departments. So you've got land vehicles, sea vehicles, and aircraft vehicles, and then a command carrier. Yeah. And it's incredible. It's a giant playset with so much to do. It's the be-all toy of the 1980s for me.
Yeah. I've heard a few people talk fondly of that. Gareth from Cosmic Toys, who did the first Collector's Archive, that was one of his favourites that that he mentioned from his childhood. The Manta Force stuff.
When I returned to collecting properly, it was always on my mind to reacquire one of those from my childhood.
Yeah, I do remember seeing the Manta Force, but it wasn't anything that really registered on my radar.
As you're a few years older, I think it kind of you would have been. You're never too old for toys, but thinking back when you hit 11, I think that's when the bit starts to change. That I think you would have been about that time frame.
Yeah,
you would have missed out on. It just would, as you said, it would just not be on your radar or your parents' radar.
So yeah, Manta Force was your favourite then. How about board games? Because I know you mentioned earlier, you said things about board games. But do you have a particular memory of those, or anyone that you enjoyed playing?
Yeah, for sure. So we definitely had board games in the house. My brother was 7 years older than me, so in some ways we didn't connect through toys. It was often computers. So it was whether it's the Spectrum 48K or the Commodore 64.
Yeah.
Occasionally we'd play board games, but I had 2 cousins, one a year older and one a year younger than me. The board games were specifically for when we would get together. I had something called Build a Better Burger. Apparently it's like super rare now. But we played that to death. But it was a really awesome game. It obviously promoted fast food and it ripped off a well-known fast food chain. But the premise of the game was really, really good. That one was definitely we had Ghost Castle. That's a fun game. It's very spooky. It glows in the dark. You can go through secret passages. I love stuff like that. It's more than a board game. It's it's an experience. I love stuff like that. A friend had Fireball Island, again another super rare one. I only played it once and I can barely remember it, but I remember it being a lot of fun.
I mean, we had things like you've just said, Ghost Castle. There was also things like crossbows and catapults, and what else was there? Oh, there was one that I've still got from my childhood, Lost Valley of the Dinosaurs, and there was like Atlantis. There was one. Is it called I Want to Bite Your Finger? It was like a Dracula thing. You put your finger in its mouth and it left 2 little red dots on it.
That's good. When you play those ones as a kid, like Operation and that golden, I can never remember what it's called, that golden tomb one where you pull the Peril is full on. Like if you're a 4-year-old playing Operation, the honking red light, it's hardcore. I was always like frightened of playing. Should we get Operation? And I'd probably like cry because I know the fear and like of the beep and the red nose. I'm quite lucky where I live. Around the corner is actually like a board game cafe called Fistful. And it's a really cool place to go. Like they sell beers and like hipster like cakes and stuff, but you can go and play retro board games or play the new evolution of board gaming. Yeah, it's really, really cool.
Let's have a look. So we all grow up and you get to high school and things. You mentioned when you get to that age, that tipping point where you start moving on. So can you remember what was your last toy or last board game or whatever it may be, or it may have been just a computer game or something? The last kind of thing before you packed that part away and moved on.
Oh, for sure. So I think, as I mentioned before, hitting 11, 12, that was in some ways my toy cutoff just before high school. I feel like I was transitioning into kind of letting toys go, but still watching cartoons, moving into kind of like skateboarding and BMXing. That was my kind of my differentiator from toys. I'd still kept on kind of doing Technic Lego, and I was a big fan of Paradisa.
Right. What's that?
Paradisa was kind of Lego Town, but with pastel colors. It was their take on trying to get more girls involved in Lego.
Right. I don't remember that at all.
It's super cool. It's like very kind of... Do you know Lego Friends now?
Yeah, my daughter had Lego Friends growing up.
Lego Friends, that's kind of like the evolution of it.
Right.
You think about it as kind of very normal brick faces, but pastel colors. It's like that, and it's really kind of, it'll be a horse riding stable, or it'd be like a really cool chalet, or a house with a pool.
Right.
It's really like, it's a very fun, interesting take on Lego Town.
Right.
So I was still getting that, but the one thing that definitely sticks in my mind, my last toy was Pretender Jazz.
Right.
That's the last toy I had, and I'm going to tell you, it left a sour taste in my mouth for Transformers for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Which is really silly, because as an adult, we all know Transformers Pretenders are like the coolest thing ever now. Everybody who's an adult absolutely loves them.
Yeah.
And they look awesome on the shelves. But, when you're a 10, 11-year-old, the Pretenders just... Yeah, it was a birthday gift, and I think at the time I was really pleased.
Yeah.
I like the character of Jazz, but it kind of... When you've got other action figures in your collection as an 11-year-old, and that slow kind of moving away from toys, it wasn't great. And as I said, I wasn't interested in Transformers for a long time, and because of that darn toy.
Yeah.
But no, I'd probably love some Pretenders in my collection if I could.
Okay. So you've gone through your lean years of no collecting and toys and things. So what circumstances brought you back to collecting?
So in terms of circumstance, I've always collected, but just never, I don't want to say to the extreme, but I never it was just always a passing thing. I very much love Power of the Force 2.
Right.
I kind of almost went all in on that. And I love Shadows of the Empire. That's my absolute jam when it comes to Star Wars.
Yeah.
But then I'd picked up pieces here and there. So I'd go to a place called Tower Records in Southampton, and they'd have very early, I think, the Diamond Select and McFarlane toys, like Akira models. I picked up those, and then seeing the commemorative series in Toys R Us of Transformers.
Yeah.
That kind of sparked a little bit. But it wasn't until I'd say 2012. So I'd say, a good 10, 11 years ago, I made the conscious decision to start collecting, as in I want to get back some of my, not necessarily the toys I had as a kid, but toy lines I had as a kid, but then go for perhaps vehicles that I didn't have.
Yeah.
Transformers characters that I never had and desperately wanted.
Yeah.
And I knew that I'd got the budget. I had the monetary income to support a new hobby.
Right.
Or a hobby that I'd always kind of had, but never really gone for.
I know what you mean. So when you got back into it then, what was it that drew you? What was the figure or the toy that that solidified it then? That you know, that you realised that you were collecting again?
So I think it was going onto eBay and picking up a Power Master Prime
Right.
commemorative edition with the Apex armor.
Yes. Yeah.
2 years prior to that, I had seen the Japanese continuity for the first time.
Right.
And Super God Master Force blew me away.
Yeah.
Realized and found out that obviously Power Master Prime was a completely different character.
Yeah.
And the Apex armor was another character, and I know everything gelled and understood where kind of all these extra characters had come from. And like that, Super God Master Force got me well back into Transformers. It was like seeing something new.
Yeah.
So familiar. And I lapped it up. And then it just kind of, I would then go onto eBay. I'd watch YouTube and reviewers, and
yeah,
I'd be like, okay, I want a Power, because I didn't have Power Master Prime as a kid.
No.
I had the regular one. My next door neighbor did.
You were lucky. I didn't even have Optimus Prime as a
That's
kid.
my first Transformer, actually.
Yeah,
it was
my
my
first,
birthday.
was it?
It was my birthday present, and I
Right.
had Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
I've told this story before, is that Optimus Prime was my first Transformer. On my birthday. My birthday was that year was a Sunday, I think. And my parents made me go and play outside.
Right.
I strategically I transformed him, and I put him on top of the trailer, and I placed it on the back of the sofa, because the sofa went up a little bit higher than the windowsill, so I could see it from the front garden.
Right.
And every once in a while, I would run back to the window to go and look at Optimus Prime, because I didn't want to go out and play outside. I wanted to stay in and play with my brand new, because I feel like, because it was quite expensive, it was the only toy I got for my birthday. Like the only gift I got from anybody. I think all my family members are just like, well, I think he wants a Transformer.
Yeah.
Or various family members all chipped in.
Right.
Whatever, to get Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
Master Prime and the Apex armor definitely got me back into collecting. It definitely collecting Transformers. And then literally just thinking back to what other toys I had, and then picking up Rhino from Mask.
Right.
Those types of things got me back into it, and perhaps kind of watching various Transformers YouTubers that would review third-party figures, and I knew I'd never had a Devastator.
No,
and I love construction vehicles. Very much a big Tonka kid. I've always wanted a Devastator, and I went for the Mackey Toys Green Giant.
Right.
I was just like, I loved the color scheme. I liked it. Wasn't overly G1, but it essence of the character.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of got me back into collecting,
Right.
especially collecting Transformers.
Yeah.
And it all went from there.
Hey, what is it that's shaping your collecting now? You know, what's the motivations behind your collecting habits now? Is it still the same? Are you still wanting to pick up bits, or do you tend to gravitate towards certain things?
In some ways, I'm primarily just buying modern now. I feel like I have enough vintage in my collection.
Right.
I'd only pick up a vintage thing once every year, once every 2 years, maybe. And now it would probably be Grail pieces if I had the money.
Yeah.
But it's more modern. What I like, what's shaping my collection now, is kind of picking up modern interpretations of kind of stuff that I never had or didn't experience or desperately wanted. So to pick up some examples, so I've got NECA's Defender of the Earth figures.
Right.
I've got NECA's Terminator 2 toy inspired figures. Like, I had no connection to those.
No.
I love Terminator 2. But by that point, as we mentioned, I was at high school then. I liked film. I wasn't interested in owning the toys. I like looking at the toys in the catalogue, in the Argos catalogue. I think, oh, they're really cool Terminator 2 toys. I wouldn't buy them because I was 14. But now, obviously, as an adult and liking that film and liking toys, I was just like, wow, here's NECA's 6-inch incredible versions of those. I like buying, as I said at the start of the conversation. It's I like picking up representations of characters within my favorite shows and films and cartoons, and the best the version I can get of that character in various scales. So I'll have like Cobra Commander. I've got a pre-order for the Super 7 version, but I've also got the vintage collection 3 3/4 scale because I like that aesthetic as well.
Yeah.
You know, I've got a Super 7 from a few years ago, Hordak, done in the 80s style, but it looks like the TV show. Like that never existed in the 80s. It just was a toy version.
Yeah.
Kind of things like that what shaped my collecting.
Right.
And it's only 1 or 2 from a toy line. So I've got like Goliath from Gargoyles. I've got a couple of like Action Toys Bandai's versions of GoBots.
Yeah.
They're not called GoBots, are they? No, it's
Machine Robo.
Robo Machine or Machine Robo.
Machine Robo, yeah. Yeah. But I like that thing that you're saying there about, you know, just picking up little bits here and there from different, you know, different franchises, if you will.
Are we ready for show and tell?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, let's see what you got.
So I've always wanted a Samurai Pizza Cats action figure.
Yeah.
It was a cartoon I loved watching on a Sunday morning. Obviously, I'm going to say that's 92, 93. Again, there was never any toys, too old for toys. Now, as an adult, I can get myself I'm saying it's just shy of 6 inches.
Right.
But yeah, Guido Anchovy. I never really understood why he had an umbrella.
Right.
As a weapon. And then, 5 years later, I'm watching Asian cinema and I see 1K Yin from Iron Monkey. And then his major weapon is an umbrella. And I look into the lore about it and it all makes sense.
Oh, Penguin made it work.
Yeah. And then obviously just wanted to own an action figure that kind of just never existed in the time. And then the other one is I love collecting random oddities. And you've seen this already.
Yes, you showed me this one earlier, yeah.
There's going to be people that watch your video that ate these crisps in the 80s in their school playgrounds. We have got Astra from Space Raiders. They were 5p, 10p crisps. On the back was often a little bio of the character, or even like, who they fought against, a little comic strip. And then we've got like a very homage to 3 3/4 with, I'm going to say that's 4 points of articulation. Yeah. And then just beautifully inspired by the actual crisp packet, the artwork.
Have they done a little patch on the back that you can scratch and it smells like pickled onion crisps?
Oh my god, that would be the next level. That's the deluxe pack, surely. But yeah, you can see some of the others. Fiendish Feet was a yogurt pot.
Yeah.
Trapdoor was a claymation. You can see grot bags. I actually have grot bags. That was a gift from a friend. Yeah. And then the Muncher is the dinosaur or the Godzilla-esque character from the Chewids.
Yes, the Chewids, yeah.
So yeah, I love picking up random awesome stuff like this.
Yeah.
I realised that sometimes I should buy 2.
Right.
To one in pack.
Yeah.
One to
to open up.
These are slightly a bit pricier than a normal action figure. So they're about 20. I'm not.
So who makes those then?
That's NEMA, NEMA Studios.
Right. All these things that you have then, I mean, I know you've done the show and tell and the things that you collect now. What is there a piece that's your favourite at the moment? Do you have a favourite piece?
I do. I got it ready.
It's been show and tell. Excellent.
It's been my favourite for about a year or so.
Yeah.
I think I've had it about 2 years.
Right.
It's something I take off the shelf a lot. This is the Roy Fockers.
Roy Fokker, yeah.
Yeah, VF1. I'm going to say this is Valkyrie Studios, I think. Valkyrie Factory. I don't remember. It's like a knockoff.
Right.
But, like, you cannot tell. Like, I've had knockoff Transformers before, and you kind of know, but, like, literally, there is, like, not a blemish on this.
No.
Supremely tight. but as a knockoff goes, it was still quite
Yeah.
pricey. It was just shy. I think it was the same price as Jetfire when it came out. I think what was Jetfire? 89.99.
What, the G1 Jetfire?
No, was it Siege?
Oh, right, Siege.
So I remember thinking,
I
like,
don't know. I couldn't tell you.
I really would like a Jetfire. And then I thought, like, do you know what? No, I'm gonna get Jetfire's best mate.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get something from Macross Robotech.
Yeah.
Because I've got plenty of Transformers. I had nothing Robotech
No.
at all, or Macross. And I'm a huge Robotech fan.
Right.
But yeah, that's this.
So is that does that transform fully into the robot, or is it stuck in that? Is it Go Walk mode?
Basically, like Go Walk's my favorite thing ever.
Right.
But yeah, it goes to Jet to Go Walk to Robot.
Right.
And obviously all these bits do pop off. You don't have to have the space parts. You can have it completely stock. But yeah, it's absolutely incredible. And then the latest thing that I'm fawning over my is Ramen Toys.
Right.
Antagonist Cyborg.
Yeah.
But everyone else will know him as Hacker.
Hacker. Yeah.
Because they've absolutely stepped up their game since their first release of the 80s Commanders. It just comes with this beautiful packaging now.
Yeah, that does look nice. Yeah. Yeah.
And like the 80s Commanders were 2001. That their tooling has got so much better. But yeah, it's all magnetized, so you can put it onto the drone when the drone comes out. Hopefully there'll be a Doc Terror.
Yeah. Have they actually done the Centurions themselves, Ramen?
They have. Yeah, they've done the 80s Commanders. They did them with like their own unique heads, because obviously it's to get away from a certain licensing issue.
Yeah.
And then they did brand new head sculpts and new helmets to match up.
Right.
And they did them as a toy colored release, and they did them as a new dirty wash version.
Right.
So obviously I went for a dirty wash version to give it a bit more of a uniqueness, because I'd already had Centurion's toys from the 80s. I didn't feel the need to replicate already something that I'd kind of already got.
Yeah.
But they are making some awesome toys, or they are previewing or kind of teasing what they're doing. So they're doing Marshall Bravestar. They're doing something called Machina, which is obviously Mask. So they're doing Thunderhawk and Shark. So Shark's obviously going to be on a lot of people's wish list because it's the Mask vehicle that never got made.
Right. So that's what you've got. You've shown us what your favourite things are at the moment. What's next on your radar? Have you got some pre-orders on at the moment? Is there some things that you've got your eye on that you're looking to get?
Yeah, I've got I don't know. It's not a pre-order. I backed a Kickstarter.
Right.
For the Robo Skull Mark II.
Yeah.
I never had one as a kid.
No.
The first time I ever saw one was at the end of school term in the summer holidays. You didn't do any lessons.
No.
You take toys in and you'd swap with all your friends and you'd play toys all day. That was the first time, I'm going to say 84, 85. I saw the Robo Skull for the first time and I was just like, what is this incredible, awesome skeleton spaceship?
Yeah.
Then realizing that it's Action Force. And then all the years went past. When I got back into collecting, I realized that this thing was incredibly rare. And people used to play with them like no matter what. And if you wanted one, you'd either find it randomly at a car boot or you'd pay. I think the last time I saw one for well over $1,500.
Right.
And then obviously Robo Skull, I'm going to say 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, they said like, we're doing a Mark II. We need you to back it. And then it got backed really, really quickly.
Yeah.
And I've gone all in. I've gone in for a selection of 3 3/4, some 6-inch figures to go with it. I've gone for the limited edition version 2 version. Yeah, that's the big thing for this year.
Yeah.
I'm ridiculously excited about it. It's going to be the big thing in my collection.
Yeah.
I cannot wait.
Would you say then that the this Robo Skull, is that your grail item? You know, is that the attainable thing, or is there still something other than that?
There is definitely one vintage thing that I'm missing, and that is I'd like some monster mines. I'd like a saw boss.
Yeah.
Because I've got drill sergeant and I've got armed force. I do not have any baddies.
Right.
And one of the things about my collecting, as I said, there's various parts of a collecting mantra. I like to have a goodie and a baddie.
Yeah.
In my collection, I like to either get a trifecta of figures. So something like Hot Rod Cup and Blur, that's a trifecta.
Yeah.
I like to do companion pieces, Batman, Grey Ghost, for example.
Yeah.
I'd like some monster mines to go with my wheeled warriors.
Right. You're collecting aside then. Are there any? Is there any other interests outside of the collecting, or is something that maybe runs concurrently with it, that's not perhaps linked to your main focus?
There is. I like collecting and doing like Kickstarters for books, but it'll always be books about toys.
Right.
So I kind of grabbed two that I've done Kickstarters for.
Yeah.
So that's Battle Action Force Volume 2. This is like I've barely even like finished this. I only finished Volume 1. It took me like a whole year.
Yeah.
But this it covers everything.
Yeah. It
covers comics, toys, the cartoon, the guy, like whoever, before it transitioned to G.I. Joe, you get to see a lot of the Action Force International Heroes.
Yeah.
It's just a visually stunning book. I've got like a Masters of the Universe art book.
Right.
And that covers the artwork just from the comics, the cartoon, like concept art. So it's got no toys in it.
No.
So I kind of try to keep it not overly toy centric.
Yeah.
And then the other one that I backed was Rad Plastic.
All right.
This was a labor of love for like the writer, and it took him a long time and to compile all the stuff. But there's stuff in here that you'd never believe. So I've got a transforming turtle party wagon.
Yeah.
I obviously never saw the light of day.
No.
But like these books are just full of this stuff, and it's an adjacency to collecting toys. And if I don't want to buy a toy, or if I'm just not feeling anything on the market, I'm just like, well, what books are available? Or kind of like what Kickstarters are there to hopefully try and get made.
I have some books in my collection, the Transformer wise, things like Transformers Vault.
The Vault is epic. I'll mention something after you've said.
Yeah, and then there's Legacy, which is all the artwork, the box artwork. And then going back further than that, there were three of the first Transformer books that I picked up. I think there would have been really early 2000s, even maybe late 90s. There were two of them by a guy called J.E. Alvarez, and they were like the unofficial guide to Transformers.
That's like the book, the legendary book for a lot of people that helped collecting, and just anybody that had a remote interest in Transformers. Well, if you can't buy all the toys, buy a book to look at them.
Yeah.
So I've got the Transformers the Vault book. And when I learned of G2 Sandstorm, I was just like, wow, that is incredible. Right. Like, why eHobby done this? And then obviously it got made. And as soon as I saw that Hasbro were making that, I was just like, oh my God, this is the one from the book.
Yeah.
Super exciting. I love that. That's what gets me excited about Transformers. Because when you collect a lot of toys, you can't really put focus on certain bits. I don't need an Inferno in my collection. I don't need a season 1 character. I'm all about rarities and odd things that never happened. And GT Sandstorm, such a super cool deco, and that's how I learned about that one character is the Vault. Such a good book.
Well, Rudy, we've got to that part of the evening then where I'm going to hand over to you for a bit of self-promotion. You can pimp yourself and tell people where they can find you and things. And I'll hand it over to you. Off you go.
Thanks. So yeah, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram just under my name. I don't post that often, but I'll use it to chat and to keep in contact with people. And then obviously you can trawl back through the last 4 years of videos, whether that's kind of if you want something nostalgic, if you want to look at random set of toys, if you want to see me fawn over a toy, if you want to see me obsess about a toy, nerd over a toy, if you want to catch me on some live shows, I have done some live bits and pieces. So yeah, come check out my channel. If you know, we've spoken about Starfleet a lot. I did a very in-depth video. It's quite an early video, so it looks super grainy on my old camera.
Yeah,
but it's got over 2,000 hits. It's
right.
got 2,000 views. Most of my videos get about 50 views.
Right.
I'm a small YouTuber. I have like 200 subscribers. This video has done loads.
Right.
So obviously it's watchable.
Yeah.
Because there isn't that much Starfleet content out there.
No. No.
Yeah, and then just if you want to just talk toys or anything, just hit me up on Instagram and Facebook. I love to talk toys. I love to talk to toys to anybody.
Well, that's great, Rudy. Thank you very much indeed for agreeing to participate. It's been great
having me on.
It's really
as I said,
interesting.
I love talking toys and about my childhood. I've said it to so many people. There's so much shared experience. And then it just differs because we all lived in different places where perhaps there wasn't a department store.
Yeah.
Or perhaps I'm going to say the big toy store we had was called Jolly Giant. And there was only, there was no Toys R Us where it was Jolly Giant.
Yeah.
And, you could get whatever you wanted in there. And it was just a one hell of a experience to go visit there. So yeah. And then as you said, we've got that shared experience of news agents.
Yeah,
but we're not going to be the only people that bought toys in news agents.
Well, all that's left for me now is to say farewell, good evening, thank you, and I really appreciate your time, and hopefully we'll chat again real soon.
Absolutely.
All right, you take care, sir.
Thanks. See you later.
See you, goodbye.
Thank you for accessing the Collector's Archive. To enable return access, please select the like, subscribe, and notification icons. Transmission terminated.